Two troubled teams coming off two very embarrassing losses get the Friday night spotlight to show the rest of the country that they're not as big of a joke as some people try to make them seem. The winner will leave this game tied for third in the division, and the loser, well, the loser will be in dead last right behind the mighty Northwestern Wildcats. It wasn't too long ago that Illinois was ranked in the top 25 and had the #1 defense in the nation, but losing some of their top guys to the pros and their top assistant coach brought them back down to reality. Nebraska's situation is different. They're used to losing records and having to fight to pull out wins over mediocre competition, so 2023 has just been another year right in the same story. The fun part about this one is that we get a dead even matchup, and even though neither team's been impressive, the win's up for grabs. So today, I'll let you know why this game's so important for Nebraska, and I'll give you my game preview and prediction. But what's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Corn Crazed. If you're a fan of Nebraska or the Big Ten, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my live stream right after the game on Friday. And if you think Nebraska will go into the bye week 3-3, hit the like button and help us get to 1,000. But now, let's get into it.
Thompson lines up, goes deep, got a man, touchdown!
So I was looking at the West standings because, I'm still living in fantasy land, and sitting right there in that second position is a 1-1 Minnesota team who Nebraska had dead to rights, and if they could have closed that one out, they'd be in a prime spot to win the division. That one fumble took Nebraska from legit contender to now fighting for relevancy, since the loser on Friday night drops to 2-4 and 0-3 in the conference, which pretty much kills any hope of a Big Ten championship appearance. And I know right now some of you are rolling your eyes, but chill. On the flip side, whoever wins this one ends up tied with Minnesota, Northwestern, and either Iowa or Purdue for third place. And more importantly, it gives them that third win at the halfway point to put them on pace for a bowl game. Think about it from Nebraska's perspective. A win means they're 3-3 with 4 home games left, and they'd probably be the favorite to win 4 of their last 6. Imagine that, seriously. Start off with 3 disgusting losses, all for different reasons. Lose a vast majority of the fans who think Rhule'S going to need another year or two and are completely fed up with watching the same shit happen over and over and over and over. Then pull off this win going into the bye. Get as many guys healthy as they can and come back out with back-to-back home games as the favorite. 5-3 with Michigan State, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa left. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but beating Illinois would set the stage for a massive October-November. Beating Illinois means there could be 6 or 7 wins on this schedule. And just think about the national narrative around Matt Rhule in Nebraska if they finish with 6, 7, or even 8 wins after their bowl game. Again, I'm not selling you a dream, and I'm not trying to get you drunk on that Will Compton Kool-Aid. I'm just giving you the full scope so you understand what's on the table and why I'm so excited for the game this week when I know a lot of other people aren't. I know it's been rough in Lincoln, but it's been just as bad in Champaign. My cousin Jansen texted me this morning saying something like, imagine losing to Illinois and how terrible you'd feel if they do, since they got beat down by both Purdue and Kansas, and it's a miracle they've even got 2 wins since they should have lost to Toledo and could have to FAU. This was an 8-win team last year with a top 5 defense who pretty much fell off a cliff and now ranks in the bottom 30 nationally in total D, scoring D, run D, turnovers lost, and turnovers gained. Just like there's an argument to be had for who the better team is between Colorado and Minnesota, we can say the same thing about Illinois and Louisiana Tech. Let's run through the schedule. Toledo, 2-point win. Kansas, 11-point loss. Penn State, 17-point loss. FAU, after Casey Thompson tore his ACL, 6-point win. Purdue, 25-point loss. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on this team because I know Nebraska's proven time and time again that they're not very good at football either. But we've seen them play other bad teams and they keep it competitive to the end, or they win those outright. So there's a reason to have hope. Just for fun, because I'm a masochist, let's look at the matchup history and how Illinois went on a 3-game win streak that started back in 2020. They dominated a Luke McCaffrey-led offense that turned it over 4 times that day to win it by 18. Then in 21, Brett Bielema took over. The defense wasn't into true form yet, and Frost's running backs weren't strong enough to run on their new and improved front 7. Then last year, Illinois had their best team since 2007. Nebraska had a 9-6 lead in the second quarter before Casey got sacked, injured, and then replaced with a backup who just couldn't get anything going. I'm not making excuses, but two out of those three wins were gifts from Nebraska's QB issues. And for once, the biggest liability at that position isn't wearing red. And that brings us to Luke Altmaier and Illinois' offense. I remember last year, pretty much everybody was saying Nebraska's next head coach needs to be like a Brett Bielema who can find a game manager quarterback, an NFL caliber running back, and develop an offensive line that can wear down the defense. Chase Brown was sick. He ran for over 1,600 yards and finished with 13 touchdowns. But after he left with two starters on the O line and their QB graduated, we knew the offense was going to take a step back. Today, their offense ranks 70th nationally, only 23 spots higher than Nebraska. And their run game, that was so dominant the last time we saw it, only averages 148 yards a game. But that hasn't been their biggest issue. The struggle's been the turnovers. Penn State's got a dominant defense like Michigan, so I won't hold Altmaier's 4 interception day against him. But look at the other games. He threw an interception against Toledo, fumbled twice against Purdue, threw 2 picks at Kansas, and lost a fumble against FAU. They've turned it over 11 times so far in just 5 games. So even though they throw for 2 or 300 yards a game, they've had way too many drives end early. And even with the interceptions, we've learned that their passing game's the strength since the best guy on offense is receiver Isaiah Williams, who's on pace for over 1,000 yards. And unless the secondary does something we haven't seen yet, he's going to have another big game. Michigan, Colorado, and Louisiana Tech all had big play receivers get open and torch the back end. So even though this will be a classic Big Ten style matchup, Bielema's going to try to throw it at least 30 times this week. On defense, they've been even worse. Kansas and Toledo can move the ball and rank in the top 35 on offense, but FAU and Purdue aren't anything special, and they combine for almost 800 yards and 61 points. Nebraska's obviously closer to Purdue than they are Kansas in terms of offensive efficiency, but even though we haven't seen Harburg play on the road yet, he's made good decisions with the ball and he can lead some drives on their D that's been terrible against the run and gives up almost 5 yards a carry. Last week, our question was, can Satterfield's offense score? But this week, I don't think that'll be an issue since their defense is about as bad as Colorado is and the worst one left on this schedule. And before you say Nebraska couldn't score on those guys, just remember they couldn't score for other reasons, and it didn't have to do with the current QB1. Vegas has Illinois favored by 3 this week, and on Bro Throw, you can get Nebraska to win outright at plus 150 odds. Teams get 3 points for home field advantage, so what this line says is that they match up dead even on a neutral field. Against the Power 5, Rhule'S team only put up 31 total points, and 14 of those came against backups in garbage time. Illinois almost doubled that total, and the consistency in the pass game makes them look a lot more attractive at first glance. And for reference, if I were to place those same bets on FanDuel, DraftKings, or any other sportsbook, my $400 in payouts would have been closer to $330. I've been using BroThrow for the last 2 seasons to bet on college and NFL because it's available in all 50 states. It doesn't require a deposit. There are no minimums or withdrawal requirements. And most important of all, you don't pay that 10% VIG that sportsbooks or other websites would charge you. So if you're betting on spreads, totals, or money lines somewhere else, you can join our Corn Craze community for free at brothrow.com/GBR to start betting in Illinois, California, Nebraska, or wherever else you're at and start saving on the juice today. In any Big Ten West game, I love getting points since so many come down to the end and pretty much anybody can win. But I actually might like the over here more. The total set at 43, meaning Vegas expects a 43-20 Illinois win. But I think we'll see less turnovers this week and more finished drives from both teams. So I think the total finishes closer to 50. What makes this game so interesting from a national perspective is that neither of these teams can afford a loss. A win keeps bowl hopes alive and keeps you in contention for the West. And since they both got blown out just a few days ago, you know emotions are running at the highest they've been all year. Illinois and their staff took pride in their consistency and discipline last year, but so far they've missed way too many blocks, they've turned it over way too often, and they haven't been able to find their rhythm. The O-line that was supposed to be a force is still struggling to help their injury-plagued running back room, and the defense that lost multiple stars to the NFL hasn't been nearly good enough against QBs who can throw. Now, do I think Harburg's a great passer? No. But what I've seen so far in terms of decision making and throwing in that 15 to 20-yard range makes me confident that if Illinois puts too much emphasis in stopping the run game, we're going to see Kemp, Washington, and Fedoni come up with some bigger chunk plays downfield to move them into the red zone. The Black Shirts were absent against Michigan, and playing without three starters didn't help, but they've been good 4 out of 5 games so far, and I'm expecting them to get back on track and make the plays they couldn't last week. I love that this game's on a Friday and that Nebraska practiced in full pads on Sunday. I love that they're coming off an embarrassing loss at home and that their season's on the line against a team who's beaten them 3 years in a row. I'm taking Nebraska to pull the upset on the road 27 to 24 to keep their spirits high going into the bye week and to give all their players nursing injuries even more reason to want to get back out there for that return game to Memorial Stadium against Northwestern in just a few weeks. 3-3 with a road win in the Big Ten would mean they're exactly where they need to be to go into that bye week on track to hit all those preseason expectations. So if you can't get excited to watch this one, I don't know how you can call yourself a college football fan. I'm guessing crowd noise won't be too crazy since Nebraska fans take up a good section of that stadium every year, and it's on a Friday night, so who knows if they'll be able to fill it up with their own fans anyway. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comments below. Is Harburg ready for his first Big Ten road test, or are you doubting how he'll look in a different stadium? Will the defense bounce back strong and force a turnover, or are the injuries going to be too much to overcome? And is Matt Rhule going to inspire this team to keep fighting for the rest of this season, or have they already checked out after a few tough losses in September? I think they'll fight it out all the way to the end since the Stars have way too much pride to throw the towel in. But it sounds like some guys still aren't all the way bought in, so who knows how that'll affect the overall morale. But that's all I've got for today. So until next time, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Go Big Red.